Hey, shh. I know. I'm not gonna hurt you. Hell, I never would have if I could have helped it.
We're gonna be a family now that you're here.
I'm no killer, son.
Welcome to the family, son.
Neither is Margarite.
The girl's our family now, and we're hers!
Nor my boy Lucas.
Everybody wants to turn back the clock!
Or even Zoe here.
This is my home. Apparently I belong here.
That girl, Evelyn. She did this. She infected us with her gift.
My little girl has given us a gift, and this gift is with me always.
All you have to do is accept her fucking gift!
Do I have your attention, boy? You're about to see some wonderful...
I found her near a busted out tank in the bayou. Everything changed after that.
You want to be part of this family, you gotta eat like family.
Hey, boy's got to eat. He got to have his supper. Come here, boy.
She forces her way into your mind, your soul.
Heck of a thing, ain't it? Sure shit beats the hell out of dying.
You can't fight back. You are connected to her, and you can't resist the urge to... Oh, you're a different person after that. Listen, the girl just wants a family of her own.
You're part of the family now.
We open our hearts! We open our home! And what do? You think you can waltz in here and have your way with my family?
I was gonna be your father.
There is nothing in this world like a mother's love. Don't I know it, honey? And if that's what you want, then you just say so.
As you can see, the family is only part of her gift. Which in a word means... you're fucked!
She's the key.
Yes, Evelyn. I remember. No, Evie. We can't be a family. We were never a family. We will never be a family.
Free my family. Please.
Home is where the heart is. Home is where we return after the hustle and bustle of each day. It's where we can let go and embrace the care and love of family. Care can be shown through a soft hug, a warm meal, or the coziness of laughter while lounging on the sofa. It's where we were raised. It's where we have grown in order to embrace the adversity of the world, all while working towards building a home of our own one day. This is a lucky beginning and upbringing for some, but for many, home is hell. Home is where we want to run away from and never look back. Home is where our buried memories and scars reside. Home is, for many, the most terrifying place one could be. Resident Evil 7, at the time of its release, took the series from ornate mansions in ravaged cities and settlements to the intimate setting of a family home in Louisiana. Here we see the series at its most horrifying, where the only monsters are not abominations of shady research, but someone who might remind us of our fathers, our mothers, or our siblings. Hell is often not what we fear, but what we have already lived and experienced in our formative years. RE7, in my view, excels in its ability to bring up childhood trauma to the surface for the player and let them experience the horrors that lie beyond that front door once again. What sets the stage for looking at RE7 through the lens of childhood trauma is the infamous dinner scene, where Ethan finds himself among the Baker family's feast of human and animal remains. Here, the family dynamic of the Bakers is in full view. Jack represents the oppressive father in the way he commands the dinner table, with his presence at the head of the table. Margarite is hunched over smiling, hoping that Ethan enjoys her home-cooked meal, showing her dutiful, motherly nature. Lucas throws bits of the meal at Ethan, representing the child that never outgrew their mischievous nature. When Ethan refuses to eat, Margarite is horrified, with her cooking being insulted. Jack takes on the role of leader and attempts to force the morsel down Ethan's throat. Lucas gleefully watches the torture ensue with eyes full of excitement. Jack also attempts to raise a hand at his wife while she hurries away, cursing at him. In this small scene, the player sees the family dynamics and their individual personalities and one of the most pivotal family gathering places, the dinner table. The dinner table for many might be a place of closeness and togetherness, a place where members of a family can share conversations about their day. For others, many have experienced some of their worst memories at the dinner table. Ethan replicates the common event of children not liking their mother's cooking, which is met with some retaliation, be it verbal or physical, from their mother or father. For those who have had siblings, there tends to be one who always, quote, stirs the pot, like Lucas here, who taunts Ethan, prompting Jack's anger to respond with severing his son's arm. Everything about this scene serves to show the duality of the comfort and horrors of the family dinner table when growing up and living in an unstable home. We see a twisted family through Ethan's eyes, but strangely happy before the violence begins. The baker's behavior, while extreme to say the least, is like what many have experienced if they did not grow up in the most healthy, loving, or stable home. The dinner table is where anything could happen and result in painful memories. Contrary to popular depictions of comfort and closeness, the dinner table can be a setting of violence and abuse, as we see in this short but important scene. After the dinner scene, we get to meet and face each of the members of the Baker family individually, each serving as the boss of their occupied zones. Jack Baker, the family patriarch, is the first we encounter individually after the dinner scene, serving as the game's pursuer in the main house level. Like many of the family members, he exhibits a thirst for violence when under the control of Evelyn. In the Daughters DLC, we briefly see his kind nature underneath the maniacal laughing and aggression shown in the base game. We see his optimism of being able to care for Mia and Evelyn, expressing his dreams of always wanting to open a bed and breakfast. Even after laying Evelyn down to rest, he immediately gets ready to head back outside in the storm to tend to the property. This displays the typical hardworking father trope, a stoic yet loving individual who wants to help others and prioritizes his family and home. We see this turn completely on a dime once he falls under Evelyn's control, attempting to drown Margarite and then stabbing himself, showcasing his devotion to his new daughter. In the base game, Jack is over the top in attempting to harm Ethan and even himself thanks to his immortality. He drives himself into a wall with Ethan's car, uses a chainsaw as a sword, and shoots himself in the head as a demonstration of his gifts received by Evelyn. We see the kindness in the DLC this father can display in the aggression, violence, and abuse he performs in the base game, all similar to behavior unstable fathers exhibit upon their children. Counteracting the anger, the most touching moment of his might have to be the dreamlike scene of him pleading to Ethan to save his family in the final act. We see extremes of a father throughout this game's content. Players experience his leadership or fatherliness for better or worse. Every line of his is both terrifying and affectionate, referring to Ethan as son and gleefully taunting him like a parent playing hide and seek with their child. We see a father that communicates through violence and aggression. This is a result of a father that had to work their whole life being a veteran and needing to be the center of the household. All of this is an incredible burden for any father to bear, with the pressure to keep it all together. It is possible that Jack was tormented through his experience as a Marine, his son's actions, and whatever familial issues that were going on before Evelyn's arrival. Jack can be viewed as the father that is on the brink of snapping at any moment, but can display bouts of kindness and warmth at times behind the closed-off front. His behavior is not too unlike those who suffer from alcohol addiction and abuse, which could also have been another contributing factor among his previous ongoing issues. Violence could simply be the only way he can truly communicate a lifetime of repressed tension to evoke an intimidating fatherly presence that could strike fear into any of their children. He is like the father that none would dare provoke, excite, or engage with in any manner. Margarite represents the typical homemaking mother, a woman who is shown as consistently loving and caring even in her altered state. She seeks to provide, feed, and nurture her children. She happens to be the first of the Baker family to be infected by Evelyn, potentially highlighting her want to be caring and therefore the most susceptible to Evelyn's desire for a family. Even when under her control, she still follows her motherly instincts and desires. She begins to birth insects that she refers to as her pretties or babies. Her motherly instinct is highlighted in her character design, with her mutated form spawning a massive womb which happens to be her weak spot. Her behavior is arguably the most erratic of the family when under Evelyn's control. As previously touched on with fathers, mothers also take an incredible burden to hold the family together and be the primary source of love. This nature is perhaps best highlighted in the bedroom DLC, where the cameraman from the Sewer Gators crew, Clancy, works to escape the puzzles of the bedroom Margarite has locked him in. Here we see her bringing food to Clancy with tender affection, even if it is of human and animal remains. The more Clancy refuses to eat his dinner, the more erratic Margarite becomes. However, in these moments, she will snap back between wanting to care for Clancy and wanting to kill him. Her personality is the most emotionally unhinged of the family, waffling between motherly love and seething hatred. Her dialogue will often reference her wanting to express her feelings of togetherness and family, which are typical of the average stay-at-home mother archetype. She is easily offended when her acts of supposed generosity are rejected. When she knows she cannot sway Ethan to be her new son, she loses all control as we see her behavior in the greenhouse boss fight in her fully mutated form. Her behavior towards Ethan is not too unlike how many mothers struggle to let their children go as they age, especially their sons. Marguerite, even in her normal state, treats her children like children despite being adults themselves. Marguerite cannot let go of her children despite their adult age, no matter her mental state. She might fall under control of Evelyn first because she desperately wants to be a mother again and relive the acts she experienced of taking care of her own children during their younger years. Marguerite did not transition with her children as they aged and instead remained in the past, seeing all family and guests in her house as children in need of care or necessary punishment. Much like Jack's potential repression of anger that was bubbling under the surface, her desire to take care of a young child was likely there well before Evelyn took hold of her family. Marguerite is the mother that never lets go of her children in a healthy manner, and as a result, she is willing to do anything to experience motherhood again, even if it means feeding adults the remains of her victims. She desperately wants to be seen as a caretaker again, with the reward of a wide-eyed child enjoying one of her delicious meals. She is like a mother that many may experience where they feel like they can never break free, which can result in terrible memories, both in younger and adult years. Many mothers in a stereotypical nuclear family often carry out punishment and love towards their children, which is highlighted by her erratic nature. Marguerite is often referred to as the scariest of the Bakers by players. This is likely due to how many find the relationships with their mothers to be more complex and nuanced than with their fathers, because they are often the main administrators of love and punishment in a typical nuclear family structure, with the father staying out of the way unless necessary. Marguerite could serve a wonderful dish made with love and tear your face off in an instant, which mirrors many unstable mothers' behavior towards their children. Lucas, out of all the members of the family, was the most deranged before Evelyn's arrival to the Baker estate. As a child, he had trapped one of his childhood bullies in the attic of their house, who eventually died from starvation. When the body was recovered, Lucas had no remorse for his actions. Lucas was seemingly always mentally unstable and antisocial, and we see that same behavior displayed in Ethan and Clancy's interactions with him. Lucas enjoys torturing his victims both physically and mentally. We see this in the Happy Birthday puzzle, where the winners of this twisted game end up burning alive, and through the 21 DLC, players of the card game are dismembered and maimed, all for Lucas's enjoyment. Lucas in many ways is a genius and incredibly gifted in technology and robotics. He was deemed intelligent enough to work as a spy for the Connections and fool Evelyn into thinking he was still under her control. He could have made something of himself and taken that intellectual potential towards something positive, but as we see him portrayed in both the base game and DLC, he never outgrows that childish behavior. Lucas is someone who is psychologically damaged and never received the care that could have helped to undo or address his deranged nature. Like many families in their treatment of troubled children, everything is kept swept under the rug as a means of preserving family reputation among the community. This isn't to excuse Lucas of his murderous acts, but rather call out some of the broader issues that might be at play with this individual. He could have simply been a bad seed from the start, with no redemption being possible for him. Him having no remorse for killing his childhood bully does lead to the idea that he was mentally damaged from the get-go, and not provoked by additional events in his childhood that led him down the path of murder. When looking at Lucas's role in the Baker family dynamic, he is treated like the black sheep. We see this in his fuck you list on his laptop in the Daughters DLC, where he writes his hatred for his family. However, as we see in these interactions, he is still treated like a baby by his mother and a disappointment by his father, both under and outside of the control of Evelyn. Margarite's unwillingness to let go of her children allows him to not fully mature, and Jack's anger and disappointment towards him puts their relationship on thin ice. Jack, without hesitation, severs Lucas's hand in the dinner scene. Lucas likely is the brunt of the family's anger or emotional tension, making him feel like the odd man out, further highlighted by his reclusive and aggressive nature. Lucas does not seem to care that seemingly his mother and father are dead when Ethan last corresponds with him. Many have experienced the sibling dynamics where one member is left out, whether that was they themselves or another sibling. In multi-sibling households, it is near impossible for all children to receive the love and attention they need. Essentially, some may slip through the cracks, which can have traumatic effects later in life. Lucas can be seen in this way alongside his naturally fucked up mental state. Lucas is the black sheep that keys in on what many families may have among their dynamic. He is a disappointment and a disgrace and could never escape that shadow cast by his family members, especially his father. This results in him taking out his frustrations in the most horrific ways possible. Contrasting Lucas, Zoe is the good kid of the Baker family. While she is seen as the rebel by the Bakers in the base game due to her escape from them, we see her in a much more dutiful role in the Daughters DLC. She is terrified of her parents' new mental state as they succumb to Evelyn's control. She even pleads with Jack to stop, with tears in her eyes and sobbing choking up her cries. She truly loves her family, even Lucas. Her reaction to seeing them all fall under the control of Evelyn one by one is like witnessing their death right before her eyes. In both the good and bad endings of the DLC, she eventually becomes infected herself. The good canon ending sees her managing to escape with her sanity somewhat still intact. She doesn't seek to kill her family like Ethan might, but to cure them. She still believes there is hope when it seems like there may be none. She is the optimist of the family dynamic both under and outside of Evelyn's control. Zoe is like the sibling one could go to in a time of need and be met with understanding and kindness, which is the opposite of her brother. Zoe is not only hopeful, but she represents hope for Ethan as she is his guide throughout much of the base game. Zoe represents the friend amongst the family chaos. While not part of the Baker family biologically, Mia fits into the role of adopted daughter or stepsister of the family once Evelyn takes control. As the Bakers interact with Mia, she is seen as an additional daughter and a rebellious one, much like Zoe. She refuses to conform like Zoe and is treated as an ungrateful child by the mother and father of the family. While being a pseudo-sister to Lucas and Zoe, she is also viewed as a mother by Evelyn. Evelyn sees Ethan as a potential father figure, which could make the family triangle complete with mother, father, and child together. The Bakers are a fill-in family for Evelyn, with Mia and Ethan offering a chance for her to be the center of attention of doting parents in a potentially more ideal arrangement for her. Evelyn's idea of family is one that cares for her and sees to her every need. While a dangerous bioweapon, she still has the mind of a child, and her idea of family is reflected through a childish perspective. Under this notion of family, it is not bonds built on connection, but rather control. The family has no free will of their own, allowing them to be in service to her. When Evelyn doesn't get what she wants, she simply takes control and puppeteers the Bakers and Mia, as we see throughout the game. Many families have a dominating member in which all of the attention is focused on that member, for better or worse. Sometimes it is a problematic child, causing other siblings to not receive the care they may need when the love is divided only one way. This dynamic of child favoritism can be brought on through countless factors. No matter the reason, many in a family are left feeling potentially less than, not receiving the love they crave, etc. The same dynamic can also take control with parents in mind, where a parent becomes the center of care and attention for a multitude of reasons. We see this with Evelyn's current state as an old woman. The Bakers care for her on both ends of the life spectrum, as a child and elderly person. Interestingly, both stages of life require care and dutiful attention from loved ones or caregivers. She has the mind of a child in both states, not unlike how children and elderly people behave and interact. She is essentially the energy vampire or the narcissist of the family dynamic, which many unfortunately experience in their formative years. For these kinds of individuals, family is not connection, but control. The characters and their interactions with one another and the player character Ethan show the horrors of the family dynamic, which is far more horrifying than any monster lurking behind the darkness. Family for many is the horror that lingers on beyond childhood and influences how we interact and engage in relationships and the world later in life. Resident Evil 7 teases out these dynamics effectively. It takes on those common tropes of a stoic father, the caring mother, the troubled son, the quiet angel, the outsider stepchild, and the narcissist, and brings them to the forefront for the player to experience. These characters aren't scary just because they are murderous psychopaths. It's because they have the ability to remind some players of their physically abusive and distant fathers, their emotionally unhinged mothers, their psychologically damaged siblings. These dynamics amongst the Bakers were perhaps lingering underneath the surface, and Evelyn was able to unleash them upon the family. No family is perfect, and Evelyn's idea of a perfect family only worsened the Bakers' relationships with one another. RE7 is a vehicle for mirroring the potential childhood trauma players have suffered in their lives. The setting of the family home is reminiscent of the typical nuclear family containing a living room, dining areas, and various bedrooms. Not everyone has grown up in a house like this one, but it does allow players to feel a sense of comfort and coziness in between the chaos Ethan suffers. It's a home that once had some love within its walls. It's a home that a family, despite their flaws, was still proud of. It was in many ways all that they had, and it was all taken from them. Childhood trauma often takes place within the family home and can be the scariest place that many would never want to return to. Sometimes the most horrifying monsters are not what's under our bed or in our imagination. It's someone we loved that left scars upon us that take many years to heal. From a personal perspective, this game brings up many of the previously discussed emotions and memories for me. As I have worked to move past my previous experiences, I cannot help but see some of what I had gone through within the Baker's character portrayals. Family is something that I have struggled with throughout my life due to aspects within and outside of my control, and this game brings those experiences back for me. Behind the negative events, there were bouts of sweetness and togetherness, calm, safety, and even love, in between those scars that take years to heal when it comes to family. Resident Evil 7 isn't just noting the horrors of family, but the comfort as well, which makes it all the more terrifying. Families are sometimes held up by a shaky support that can come crashing down at any moment. Sometimes the scariest events we experienced took place in our family homes. Sometimes the real monsters were the people who raised us. Sometimes hell is making it through a family dinner and hoping things don't go wrong tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, and I hope you got something out of it. This was a bit more personal than my previous videos, so I hope you enjoyed this type of perspective mixed with my typical analytical takes on games. If you experienced any of the concepts of family dynamics I mentioned throughout, just know that you are not alone. In the comments below, feel free to share your perspectives on RE7. What was the scariest sequence for you, or what is your favorite quote of dialogue? For me personally, Margarite is easily the scariest Baker, and I found Jack's various lines of taunting Ethan to be my favorites, especially in the carjacking sequence. RE7 also happened to be my first entry into the series years ago, and I look forward to covering more of this franchise in the future, having only played 7 and 8 at the time of this video. If you like my thoughts on games, please give this a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new here. I always appreciate the support in any way you like to show it. Simply making it to the end here is more than enough, and I am extremely grateful you chose to spend your precious time here. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you're going to be one of us, and maybe then you'll play nicely. Take care.
You're gonna die!